Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Cinema Savvy News. It is myself, George, joined by no one, as I'm getting used to doing these intros by myself. No, after a week's hiatus due to a lack of news and nothing happening, I have returned with a brand new episode, and there is quite a bit of news to talk about this week. One thing I want to say was we did very well view-wise on the last bit of news with the Joker. It was great to bring the news show back. It's something I've been passionate about doing. So it's great to get a good reaction there. So thank you for people that commented, joined for this live, the likes as well. Anyone that subscribed from that, who's here for some new stuff. Thank you for that. Obviously, if you haven't checked out already, we've got a couple of new reviews upon the channel. We've got It Chapter 2. We've got not the Dark Kingdom, the Dark Crystal, the new Netflix prequel series, which me and Chris did yesterday, which was good fun. Well worth checking that out if you've seen the series and you're a fan. And coming this weekend, we are aiming to again add Astra review out as well. So we've quite a bit of content coming your way. And as usual, on the Monday 9 o'clock slot in England, it's going to be the Cinema Savvy News. So I don't have a batch of photos prepared. I realised this 2 minutes ago, and I was already running late, so I didn't want to sit there and delay it 10 minutes just to get a couple of pictures. Obviously, for those that have seen it, we've got the amazing thumbnails, which always look amazing. And you may have guessed by their headline that the main piece of news is going to be about Iron Man. But before I get to that, I'm going to use this moment, as usual, to rent our social media. If you want to see us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/cinemasavvy. It's Twitter, it's @cinema_savvy. And on Instagram, @cinema_savvy. We're going to keep updating all of those. We've been using Twitter a lot more interactive, talking about what films we're watching, what we're looking forward to. So have us follow on social media. We're going to use it to sort of market some of our up-and-coming shows. But obviously tonight is about Marvel. We had DC last time. The main headline is Robert Downey Jr. is rumored to be in the Black Widow film. Now, I'm going to give a bit of context before I give my personal thoughts in this. Spoiler alert for Endgame, Iron Man died. Black Widow also died. This is a prequel film. And no one knew it was a prequel film until after Endgame because Scarlett Johansson died in it. And Iron Man died, and it was sad, and we all cried, and it was emotional, and it became the highest grossing film in history. However, the report came out of the Saturn Awards last week, and it was Deadline that said it, and it was almost in passing. It's just like, oh, apparently Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in Black Widow. There's no small role, there's no cameo, there's no large role, there's no has he filmed, is he going to film, is that old footage, is it new footage? There is absolutely nothing at all. And it's just saying, and this is a rumor, it's coming from Deadline, this isn't official, this isn't Marvel.com. This is probably going to be one of the biggest cameos, I think, a cameo that would have appeared. And it's quite, I want to say quite sad to say the least, because when you get to Endgame, whether you liked or you disliked it, whatever, the fact that Robert Downey Jr. played Iron Man for 11 years, oh God, how many films? 8 films off the top of my head. Could be more. I think it's more. But anyway, Spider-Man Far From Home is essentially all about Iron Man's death and what that brings to it. So you kind of like, okay, they're going to use Phase 4 to get over it. And there's like, here's a prequel, and Iron Man's going to be in it. Now, I really dislike this idea. Canonically wise, I completely understand why he would do this. Not him, but why Marvel would put him in there. In a timeline sense of view, it makes perfect sense. For those that don't know, this is a prequel. I believe it's set just after Civil War, but before Infinity War. And there's going to be a lot of flashbacks to when Black Widow was younger. I'm guessing you will learn more about her father's name that she didn't know in Endgame. Yeah, this sucks. This outright sucks, because for me, as great as to see Iron Man, we've got Dave in the comments already saying, boo this idea. I concur. The big part of Endgame was that it was kind of the end of Iron Man, that Robert Downey Jr., same thing. He's been doing this for 11 years, we've mentioned previously. This is one of the most iconic roles in cinema. Nobody else could have ever played that role. Doesn't matter who they want. There's links of Tom Cruise, doesn't matter who they were. This will always be Robert Downey Jr.'s the role, the era, sort of this sort of millennium's Han Solo, I guess you could say, in some sense, to Harrison Ford. And the whole point of Endgame was, him dying. It's his farewell. He's done it for so long. I am Iron Man 2008. I am Iron Man 2019. I've got here, given to me by a friend, the Love You 3000 poster. The ending of all endings, the funeral scene, the hamburger scene, the I love, Endgame was the end of an era, and I really, really dislike the fact that it's been. I mean, obviously, filming wise, it's been within 6 months of Endgame coming out of the cinemas. Film wise, it's less than 2 films after, knowing that the film after Endgame was all about his death anyway. I really don't like it. I think it's not tacky. I don't want to criticize it. Hey, it could be old footage for all we know. But I think that the concept of bringing Iron Man back, canonically wise, yes, it can make sense, but I just don't think it works for what Endgame was about. It might not lessen Endgame, but the thing is with Marvel, how many people watch Marvel in canon? You know, when you think to Star Wars as a fair example, you've got, do you watch the prequels first? Do you watch the originals first? Kids these days, do you watch the sequels first? You know, everyone's got their own viewing order: 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, there's always been this debate about how do you view these. The MCU has got 23 films now, and I don't see why. You know, I've had people message me saying, "What's the best way to watch Marvel?" I'm like, just do it in release order. There's 23 films. It's a nightmare if you want to do it sort of era, not even era wise, but you know, some of these, there's like 5 films set in modern day, and it's not clear what's the modern day and what's not. And if you want to get into years, get into canon, get into technical terms like that, Spider-Man, so I'm looking at myself, Homecoming, set like 8 years after Civil War, something stupid like that. They know they messed that up. So to me, the whole canon within Marvel, the continuity works, but the canon doesn't. And I really dislike the fact that Iron Man's been being, apparently, again, this is rumors, apparently is being brought back into this. So that's our big news for tonight. Anyone in the comments? We obviously had Dave. I want to know what you're thinking. Do you want to see Iron Man back in the MCU? Is it too soon? Should he be in the Black Widow film? Claudia's commented saying, glad to see George back. Thank you. I've been back for a while now. And Seaward Man per FR. Claudia, apologies. I don't know what the FR means, whether I'm missing something, but that's the sort of the main gist of this, the Iron Man stuff. It's not something I thought would happen. I thought this was, you know, Daniel Craig's doing his last Bond film. He is definitely not coming back after that. Harrison Ford did Force Awakens. Okay, he could cameo in 9. I hope he doesn't, but that's my end film. You know, you get these actors once a while that are so integral to a role. It's time for you to go, sir, as the Clone Troopers once said. But no, that is my thoughts on the Iron Man news. Now, I'm going to follow this up with a small little bit of news, but it's still sort of Marvel related. The Russo brothers were in Toronto Film Festival promoting their new film. Of course, they were asked all about Marvel, not their new film. They were talking about Marvel, saying they loved working with Marvel. They would like to work on some more Marvel films, which I guess any director would say. Obviously, they also want to do their own thing. They've set up their own film studio for those that don't know. I'll probably just see what I'm put for real, George. Thank you. And what I thought was interesting with the Russo brothers was that they said that they watched a lot of X-Men when they were younger. They also mentioned they would love to do a Silver Surfer movie. Now, obviously, Marvel will now have the rights to the X-Men. Silver Surfer falls under X-Men, comic book-wise, and Fox rights-wise too. And I think what's interesting with this one is that a couple of days ago, there's a rumor doing the rounds that Marvel have put a Silver Surfer film in the early stages of development. Now, whether this is a massive coincidence, the Russo brothers just happened to talk about Silver Surfer. Did a journalist get excited and say there's going to be a Silver Surfer film? Did, you know, a journalist get it right and be, there's more to it than this? It's intriguing. There's a Silver Surfer film. It doesn't strike me as someone that needs a film. I can't really criticize Marvel picking characters to do films because every film gets like $1 billion now, and everyone seems to, well, most people seem to love them. They're renowned worldwide. They're the only company that everything they touch turns to gold. Even Thor: The Dark World, after like 6 years of just being the worst of the worst, it got its due an end game, and people had to go back to it. The story is Marvel always win. So, you know, there could be more weight to a Silver Surfer movie. It's an easier way of doing that than going into X-Men first. Obviously, there's a plan somewhere with X-Men, which I can imagine them working on. But doing a Silver Surfer was very interesting. Obviously, with Marvel currently doing the whole cosmic world of Captain Marvel, when Nick Fury was for the credits of Far From Home, with bringing in the Skrulls, there is a lot they could do with all of this. But I don't personally see the Russo brothers coming back to Marvel as much as I'd love them to. They can bow out having done Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, the highest grossing film in history. They've kind of not, I don't want to say they've peaked, that's completely the wrong word. I don't know why that ran through my mind, but there's a certain point where you're like untouchable status, which I feel they're at now. And if they're going to move away from Marvel, if you can end it with Endgame, many of the directors in the world would love for it to end like that too. Now, jumping back to the Iron Man stuff, Claudia says if he doesn't make a cameo, no one's going to see this movie. Marvel had to come up with something. Interesting thoughts. I don't want to say like I completely disagree. I can see what you mean. The general public, this isn't a film. I mean, we're going to say they're not going to flock to it. Do you think Captain Marvel make over $1 billion, having not been in anything before? I don't think they would. Black Widow should make $1 billion. It's got Scarlett Johansson back as Black Widow. It's got the David Harbour's going to be in. You're going to get the Stranger Things fans going, and obviously, but you are right. If Iron Man's in it, that brings a certain niche, I guess, to the showing. People will be like, "Oh, Iron Man's in this." They'll be disappointed when they realize that A, he's dead. B, it's probably, if it's going to be a cameo. Seaward Man clarified the FR for real. Thank you for clarifying that. And in other words, he agrees with us in regards to Tony Stark. So that's the Marvel news. Now, here's a real big bit of news that I wanted to talk about last week, but there were 3 bits of news, so I really couldn't. Sorry, I'm just going to grab a drink because I've been talking non-stop for ages now. So there's going to be a reboot of Face Off. If anyone's not seen Face Off, it's without doubt one of Nicolas Cage's greatest ever performances. It's without doubt in John Travolta's top 3. Really, he's only really done a top 4, but this is probably in John Travolta's top 3. There's a villain, there's a hero. They use new technology to switch the face around, and the villain also steals the technology to switch his face around. And it's like Freaky Friday on drugs, but 10 times better. Rebooting this, when I first saw the news, I kind of thought, the usual angry old man shouting at a cloud is nothing sacred anymore. And then I sat down and thought about Face Off. And this kind of won me over. You can have any 2 actors in the world that could do this. And I was kind of messaging Chris. I said straight away, there's, as Director Krennic once said, there's unlimited potential. They could be on the verge of greatness. If they could be this close, it's going to depend who they cast. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta worked. Now, you can make memes out of this. You could say Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Jackson, like what the Extras TV series did back in the day. You could go for some really boring choice like Gerard Butler. And I don't know who else does all them awful action films these days. Can't remember. Gerard Butler's kind of the lead man at this stage. This could go so wrong, or this could go so right. There are so many possibilities, and I'm kind of both traumatized and excited to see where this one goes. I want to see what you guys think in the comments about a Face Off reboot. Name me the 2 actors or actresses you would want to be in the Face Off reboot. I actually had mine. I had them written down, and I'm not going to go on my phone because I am hosting this myself, and it's going to be really obvious if I go on a phone just like I did then. So I can't get the 2 out which I originally thought I wanted. I'm trying to really pick my brains and remember who they were, but unfortunately I cannot say. If anyone's got ideas, who do you want to see in the Face Off reboot? Please comment it below. I don't think it's that bad it's being rebooted. I mean, it is bad. It's, it's one of them films that shouldn't be rebooted, but this is one of the films that if you're going to reboot it, you could at least, I think, have a bit of fun with it. And by that, I mean that, again, it's going to come down to who you cast. If you get the right person, then I think it'd be great. If you get the wrong person, then it's dead on the doorstep. There's no coming back in that. And I just think that'd be interesting. Apologies, I'm trying to double check who I picked, but unfortunately I cannot remember. So again, anyone in the comments, let me know what you think for Face Off. Apologies, I'm on my phone. It's very rude, but I had a really good pick. Clearly not good enough that I've already forgotten who they were, but it's certainly a pick that's going to get people talking. Here we go. So Chris put, what should be Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart? I would also pay to watch that. I really hope it's not. Here we go. Here's my 2. Christian Bale and Woody Harrelson. Sold. get those two in for a face-off reboot, you're going to have one incredible 2-hour ride. Woody Harrelson and Christian Bale, make it happen. If anyone's listening, get the word out. Christian Bale, Woody Harrelson, Face Off 2, get it done. Anyway, moving on from Face Off, we have some news that I only heard of literally 2 hours ago when I was writing the schedule. Last night on American TV, now released online, there is a Jurassic World short film which was released, came out of nowhere, and it's called Battle at Big Rock. This is an 8-minute short film directed by Colin Trevorrow, who directed Jurassic World, who's going to be directing Jurassic World 3. He only produced Jurassic World 2 because he'd obviously signed on to Star Wars, got sacked from Star Wars, and we've got the whole Circle of Life thing. Very not controversial individual, but more so his filmography was the fact that he was picked for Star Wars off the back of Jurassic World. Probably nothing to do with the fact that Frank Marshall, the producer of all the Jurassic World films, is married to Kathleen Kennedy, VP of Lucasfilm. I'm sure it had nothing to do with that, and the fact it made 1.6 billion, but it happened. He got sacked. We got JJ. We all win. Anyway, this short film came out last night. It was filmed in Ireland last year, so not even filmed in America. And I saw it. I'm not going to review it. I'm not going to give my thoughts on it. I've saw it a couple of minutes ago. It's on YouTube. It's legal. You can watch it. We mentioned Chris. You might get a video about it. We might get a live reaction or some form of review in a couple of days. So leave that with us. We might cover it. But it's set 1 year after Fallen Kingdom, the recent film, and if anyone can actually remember the end of it, the dinosaurs get set free from a giant mansion and run around the world, and you get this awful ending montage that was the actual first trailer for the film. The short film I really enjoyed. It reminded me of the Marvel one-shots, if anyone ever remembers them, that you'd get on the Blu-ray. Apparently this is set 1 year after. There's like a family on vacation. Oh god, American terminology. There's a family on holiday, like in the Breaking Bad campervan, and you know they come face to face with a dinosaur. That's the log line. I'm not going to go into any more details than that. It was really good fun. For 8 minutes, you got to learn about the characters. Short films, the art of a short film is getting people on the hook, introducing things, and getting it done not as quick as you can. You can have long short films, you can have short films, but this had a high budget. Obviously, it was filmed at night, made it easier to do CGI. I kind of enjoyed this. I wouldn't say it got me hyped for the new one. There's a really great end montage scene with just dinosaurs interacting with like modern day people and how it all goes wrong. Then I've seen them in god awful baby announcement videos on Facebook where they flow doves into the sky and they drop like balloons and shit like that. They throw a dove into the sky and a pterodactyl just sweeps past and just eats it like a fucking airplane. It's quality. It's definitely worth watching the 8 minutes purely just for the last 2 minutes. But that's the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Battle at Big Rock. Sounds like something out of Lion King, doesn't it? Check that on YouTube if you can. Couple of comments for people. Claudia put, I think Face Off are going to go with younger actors. Who knows? It could be 2 women in the lead roles. I hope not. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I particularly wouldn't want it. It would always depend on the 2 actors/actresses they pick. We could even have one guy, one girl, as long as it's just not a beat-for-beat remake. I don't even want it to be a reboot. I just want it to be like some kind of long-term sequel. The technology's back, or they could do something. They could just, like how True Detective has a new ensemble cast. We could just keep getting that with Face Off 2, 3, 4, 5. It'd be like 22 Jump Street. There you go. Channing Tatum, Jonah Hill, Jump Street crossover, Face Off, beautiful, perfect, done. So anyway, back to Jurassic World. Moving on from that, we have a more sort of a technical news item, I guess we could say. We do like to cover stuff like this, especially when it's going to be like an overseer for the future. A friend knows J.J. Abrams obviously has Bad Robot Productions. They've produced all of his content for God knows how many years. I don't know if Lost was one of them, but at least 10, 15 years, I guess you could say. Warner Brothers / Warner Media has just signed a humongous deal with them. Warner Brothers will now be the home to all exclusive, all Bad Robot content from this day on, but obviously not Star Wars 9, but everything after that. This is one of those very common deals you're starting to see more and more now. I think it's fair to say that it's the way the industry's heading. You had the Game of Thrones guys, Benioff and Weiss, sign a $250 million Netflix deal. All their content's going to go onto Netflix, brackets, except Star Wars. Obviously, JJ Bad Robot, but Bad Robot, I think, is vice president, left to join Lucasfilm to be vice president there, which was a big loss for them. But obviously, JJ's moving on post Star Wars. It wasn't a case of he's going to sit down, time himself down for decades. He's always liked to produce stuff. And, bias aside, I don't mind Disney, but if Warner Media are going to not buy out Bad Robot, but have them on their ground, they produce a lot of original content. They said there'll be TV, there'll be films, there'll be games. I would be very excited to see where they head with this. I would be intrigued to see the projects they do. Obviously, now that Disney do have the monopoly, which is also Fox, Warner Brothers are really the sole competitor now. Sony they've not been there. They're far too inconsistent. They don't produce enough films for a start. I can't see Sony as a threat at all. Warner Media has the potential, keyword potential. They never seem to deliver on it. This year has been astronomically awful for Warner Brothers. They've had bomb after bomb, films not doing well. They've really not done a good job. Whereas next year, they've got the new Nolan film. They've got Dune, which is being directed by, why do I always forget his name, the director from Blade Runner 2049. Oh my mind's gone blank. It's going to come back to me in a couple of moments, I'm sure. They've also got, does it really count? Fantastic Beasts is still somewhere. No, that's not really count. They kind of died of that one. They've got Wonder Woman 2 coming out next month. It's apologies, I'm really stumbling on the Blade Runner name. It's really annoyed me. But anyway, Bad Robot going there. If it means JJ is going to do some more directing, apologies, it's Denis Villeneuve. Of course, it's Denis Villeneuve. He even stole Hans Zimmer from Christopher Nolan. That's how good June's going to be. I'm all for Bad Robot taking the fight. Sorry, Warner Brothers taking the fight. It's what they need. Again, it's more common now. Production companies, if you look at Netflix, all of their production seems to be the same production companies. They just bring them back for the next film. It's consistent. It's easier to do it. In theory, Disney do it. Obviously, they buy out the companies, but this Bad Robot deal, everything's going to be in Warner, just like what Pixar do, what Lucasfilm do, what Marvel do. It's their property. It's their baby. So I'm excited with that. Another little bit of news, not political side again. This is more sort of, again, behind the scenes production of films, more so than actual out there. Here's some things. Disney have just agreed a 10-year deal with Pinewood Studios to essentially not take over. People use the word takeover far too strong. I'm very familiar with Pinewood Studios. I can't really talk about it too much. But if anyone notices this channel, you notice I did disappear for a long time. And I know Pinewood Studios very well. That's as much as I'm going to say about it as I can. Basically, they get a lot of big productions paying them money to, we're going to be at the studio for a couple of months. Office blocks where there are lots of offices where there are small companies based. They're based at Pinewood. And Netflix has just paid a lot of money to have a lot of Shepperton Studios, which is around the corner, which is one of the biggest studios in the country. That's now exclusively Netflix's baby for the next 10 years. Warner Brothers Studios, keynote, this is all in England, by the way. Warner Brothers Studios is where the Harry Potter Studio Tour is. That's Warner Brothers baby. That's in Watford, just outside London. And Disney have been sort of looking around for studios for a while. Obviously, Star Wars is filmed here. A lot of the Disney live actions are filmed here. Marvel's filmed here before. Pinewood Atlanta in America is about to lose its Marvel contract because I think, and not to get into real life politics, Atlanta is, I think, bringing in the abortion law or something ridiculous like that. They're going to essentially move out. They don't want to be associated with that state. Don't blame them. And, Disney are the juggernaut. They've got Star Wars TV series, Marvel TV series, Marvel films, Star Wars films, Disney live action films, whatever you name it, Disney are making it. It makes sense for them to not. They didn't buy them out. They don't own the land. They just signed a 10-year deal. If you're worried about Star Wars, James Bond, Pinewood Studios, they're not going to lose it there. They do a film every 5 years. The biggest stage there is called the 007 stage. Of course, they would make room for them, but it basically means that Disney have an informal home. You will see a lot of production companies moving there. So Star Wars 9 filmed there. They have their own lot. They've been doing a lot of extensions. So it's not a case of they've took all that land. They have built so much more land. It makes it easier to accommodate more sets and the demand coming into the British film industry. That's as much I'm really going to go into sort of Pinewood and stuff like that without getting personal because I don't want to break any NDAs. But anyway, comment from SeaWorld Man. Stranger Things and Netflix are insanely popular. Just my thoughts. Yes, if this is what you meant by when I was talking about Warner Media Bad Robot, you're absolutely bang on, tying into the studio stuff. Obviously, Stranger Things will still stay and shoot in America, but Netflix having that international base means they can just move a lot of their productions there. It makes it easier for them to organize filming schedules, reshoots, all of that stuff. It's more of the trend that production companies are getting their own bases and they're staying there permanently because they know what they can shift around and what they can't. And also, you are right, stuff like Strange Things is insanely popular. It is very popular. I loved it. I started watching it quite recently. I've been with them in about 2 weeks. So yeah, there's a big trend now, and it's all about productions and franchises and stuff like that. So the industry is moving along with it. So me going off on a tangent from work things. The next bit of news, we're near the end now, guys. So apologies if I keep talking too much. Jojo Rabbit, the new Taika Waititi film, beat Joker to best film at Toronto Film Festival. Now, I wouldn't normally just put Joker. It'd be every other film that was submitted at Toronto Film Festival. This includes Ford versus Ferrari, Not Marriage Story. I'm getting that mixed up with something else. That was Venice, sorry. Obviously, Joker premiered in Toronto as well. Knives Out was in Toronto. You had a lot of big films that you're going to see in the Oscar races next year. And Jojo Rabbit won. Now, I think you're talking about Joker because Joker won the Golden Lion in Venice, which I just spoke about in the last episode. I'm really looking forward to Jojo Rabbit. It's going to be at London Film Festival. I'm going to try and get into that screening. And it's not a surprise it beat a film like Joker. Joker didn't have a good reception in Toronto. Don't get me wrong. It's good reviews. I'm very excited to see it. But I mentioned last time there's a risk of it being overhyped. I hope that's not the case. I want it to be as good as it looks. But there is going to be that select small percentage online as well that are going to attack anything that's said without context. So there is that. But I thought it was interesting. Jojo Rabbit won Best Film at Toronto. We've had Venice, we've had Toronto, we've got London next. Then it's properly outright award season time. You've had your festivals, then you've got the home straight. Next thing you know, it's Emmy nominations, then it's the bloody Oscars too. And we'll have our live stream as we always do, and our predictions and all that fun stuff. And my final bit of news, this is without doubt the saddest story of the week. Funko have signed, Funko, the Pops. I have a really sick one here, I'm not going to lie, Scar from The Lion King. Funko have just signed a deal with Warner Brothers to do a Funko Pop movie. Now, if this sounds familiar, a famous toy brand signing a deal to make a film, yes, that's happened a lot. You've had Playmobil movie that no one saw. You had the Lego movie, which everyone saw. You had every Lego movie afterwards, which no one really saw. And I think there's been another toy one. Angry Birds doesn't really count, I guess, but that's games. But Funko Pop movie is really to me the low of the low. It's done by Warner Brothers, so without doubt you're going to get Fantastic Beasts, Lord of the Rings, DC, anything with a Warner Brothers name on is going to get a cameo, exactly like the Lego movie did. This is going to be an animated film. Now, I'm not surprised it took this long. SeaWorld Man just beat me to it. Funko Pops are insanely popular. They are. You go to any convention. This is not too bad either. You go to any convention, they're stacked with them. Too many of them. If you look up, even there, you can see, my bad, I don't know how this new camera works. There's an Anakin Pop beyond my head. I've bought a couple of them. I did have like a couple of hundred of them and thankfully sold them because it became too much. I like getting the odd one for my Blu-ray shelf, which no one can actually see. I kind of have a group of films and a pop next to it that like identifies the film. So I'm looking at the Harry Potter steelbooks, all 8 of them. Then I've got a Lucius Malfoy pop next to them. It looks cool like that. They look cool out of the box, but there's a lot of money in pops. There's a lot of popularity, exclusives, conventions, astronomical prices, you name it, pops there. Funko is probably sitting thinking, Christ almighty, think about how many more pops we can make with our name on it just for our own film. Exactly what the Lego movie did. I'll watch it. I'm not excited for it. I'm intrigued by it. I want to see how the animation works, given the design of the pops. Obviously, with Lego, my favorite thing was that very weird stop motion Lego-y build type animation they did. It felt quite new, quite fresh, and I actually really enjoyed the first film. I liked Lego Batman. I haven't revisited it, but I had a fun time in the cinema watching that. Didn't see any of the other Lego films, which says a lot. Financially, they all made far less than the Lego Movie 1 did. I think Warner Brothers milked that, and they're probably moving on to their next project, which is going to be, can we rinse Funko Pops before Funko Pops get rinsed themselves? Funko's in a lot of debt. People don't know that as well, so this probably is one of the reasons they got a film contract too. But the Funko Pop movie coming to your cinemas probably in 2 to 3 years, and fingers crossed that Funko's are done and dusted by them. But no, that has been the latest episode of the World SeaWorld, man. You mind showing it? It's literally, I can't show you my room. It's a big room. I don't want to go into that, but if anyone wants, one day I can like send a photo of the Blu-ray shelf, because there's a couple of hundred Blu-rays there, posters, cabinets, and stuff like that. They're all like very far away on the other side of the room. What you see here is like a third or a quarter of the room. So another time, maybe I'll do something like that if you really wanted to. I know that Chris loves getting his posters out for everyone on camera, which you'd also see if I also turn the camera on too. But anyway, this has been the latest episode of Cinema Savvy News. I want to thank everybody for coming in the comments, for those checking it out. I'm going to repeat everything I've said before. You can find us on facebook.com/cinemasavvy. You can find us on Twitter @cinema_savvy. You can find us on Instagram @cinema_savvy. We're using social media more regularly now. Again, we've got reviews out for Ad Astra this weekend, and we're going to aim to get Rambo out. Chris is being an absolute unit and rewatching all the Rambo films. So check out Rambo content coming soon. A big Stallone fan. Obviously, Ad Astra is coming out. We've reviewed it. If you want to catch out some old reviews, we mentioned TV Dark Crystal. We got a review out last night. We've got the news coming each week on a Monday, unless there's a very rare exception like what happened last week where there's no news. But we're getting to that time of year where the news is starting to roll out now. So thank you for everybody for joining this episode. We will be back, of course, 9 p.m. GMT next Monday, and we'll also have some announcements for our Battle of the Brackets episode for best Quentin Tarantino moments. If you're not familiar with Battle of the Brackets, check out our channel and our playlist. It's definitely everyone always says it's our favorite sort of video. It's quite long. It's a game show. It's good fun. Check that out because we'll be back next week. But in the meantime, enjoy, and thank you all for joining me.